Yo, welcome back. Today we are doing a continuation of the Hacker Gadgets SDR kind of all in one board that we looked at a few weeks ago now. And I figured that by now, many of you would be receiving your boards, hopefully, um, that you are receiving them and they are all intact and not held up by any kind of customs or anything like that. So I wanted to show you now how to do the software install because it's quite lengthy. And I will have a link. Rex Bookworm, the guy that developed this custom image for the uConsole, and then as well as all the other instructions that they kind of guide us through. Out the gate, this is very lengthy, like I said, and it is very in depth, and you will have to kind of have some command skills running in the Raspberry Pi and in terminal. So I assume that most of you guys will have that if you already had bought your unit and you are already familiar with Raspberry Pi and how it functions like that. But getting into it, and again, all the links will be in the description below. And I will say a mouse and keyboard are going to make this a lot more seamless for you guys. You go to your web browser. This is a silly putting 24D Notion site here, and this is the instructions of how to do the install. Now, you will first and foremost need to go to the forum here, and this is the Bookworm 6.6 Y for the uConsole and the dev team, and you're going to need to install this kind of custom firmware slash image slash kernel. So if you have anything on your uConsole that you don't want deleted, go ahead and back that up onto a USB thumb drive, an SD card, a hard drive, whatever, because you will be erasing your actual uConsole image. You're going to go down here and find this file folder on Mega. Now, I originally thought that this was like kind of like one of those ads that you see like on a typical website, so I didn't know, so I had to go into further research. But if you click on that guy, and it's going to download. And once you receive that download, you're going to go to the images here, the images folder, and you're going to want that first one up there, which is as of 5/11/25, which is today's the 13th, so that is the latest image. Now go ahead and download that guy, and then you're going to go ahead and unzip that or extract all. So if you're on the Mac, unzip it. If you're on PC, extract all, and then you're going to use Balena Etcher. Now, if you're using your uConsole SD card, you are going to need to eject that guy, obviously, put it into Balena Etcher, or in my case, I just chose Raspberry Pi because when a Raspberry Pi, like the uConsole, kind of formats an SD card for all of its kernels and all of its images and such, it creates multiple kind of partitions of that drive. And I found that Balena Etcher only erases like the boot partition, and some of the other ones remain. So if you use the Raspberry Pi or Pi Imager, and you go to erase and format at FAT32, it's going to erase the entire SD card and all the partitions with it. So just be aware of that. If you have a trick for Balena Etcher to erase all the partitions, then feel free to share it in the comments below. But for the most part, for erasing and formatting a lot of Raspberry Pi stuff, I just use the Raspberry Pi Imager because it erases back to stock. So go ahead and erase that guy, and then you're going to go ahead and, like I said, extract all if you're on PC, extract, extract, extract. And then if you're on Mac, go ahead and unzip, and then go ahead and open up Balena Etcher, and you're just going to just find that file, this Clockwork Pi Bookworm slash 6.12.27 image, and then you are going to select that to create your custom new SD card. Now, once that's done, go ahead and eject it, and then we're going to pop it into your uConsole. It's going to take roughly about 2 to 3 minutes to populate all that new firmware and data onto your uConsole, and then you're going to have a fresh new uConsole ready to go. Now, from here, this is where we get into kind of the nitty-gritty stuff. We're going to need to adjust and kind of configure a lot of files. Now, I tried going into my files here and then going to the root of them all. So like the boot area, and then adjusting the firmwares from is, and actually opening it as a text file. Um, But for some reason, the permissions for how it was set up wouldn't let me, even with me trying to gain permissions and set myself as a pseudo user under the actual permissions of the files. It wouldn't let me, so I had to go ahead and do it all under terminal. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of these because these will be redundant after a few of them, but it's going to help to have this file opened up on your uConsole or the website, because after a while, you're just going to be able to copy and paste a lot of these commands just back and forth from website. So if you got two monitors, that's going to help out great, because then you can just go HDMI or the mini micro HDMI out to a bigger monitor, and then you can open up a few different folders and then just drag and drop and copy and paste. So I recommend going external monitor for this method right here. I'm currently going out of my uConsole to a micro HDMI to the Condor Blue video capture card into my iPad. So I'm using my iPad as a larger screen and as well as the screen recording that you're seeing here. So that's kind of how I have this whole system set up. And then I have a Keychron mechanical keyboard here that I will be typing the majority of the stuff. If you have a mouse, get a mouse, like I said, because it's going to help. Because if not, you're going to have to keep going back and forth to your uConsole to the little track wheel. That's so. Anyways, enough of that. Let's go back to that website right here. So we need to kind of change some of these configurations on the config text file first. And this is going to enable the clock feature that we now have the RTC clock in this board. So we're going to go ahead and enable that. And to do so, we're going to need to go to boot firmware config.tx. So let's go ahead and go back over there. You do need to type in sudo nano, and then we're going to go to space boot slash, what was it? Not boot firmware, and then slash config.txt, and then enter that guy. And I did something wrong because I can tell already that that is not the folder I need to be in. So to X out of here, you're just going to hit Control X and then just hit no, and then we're back out. So let's go ahead and go back to that one. So boot firmware config.tx. That should have been it for me. I must have had a typo somewhere. So let's try that again. I'm going to go to sudo nano, and then what is that? Boot, probably boot firmware, and then config.txt. There we go. So it was a forward slash before the boot. So just kind of copy the paths for the most part of how they have them on the read through. Now we're going to enable the clock here. So if we go to those lines that we looked at over there on the web browser, we need to enable clock. So you can just go ahead and copy these, obviously, and then you're going to just paste them. So that's why I say it helps to have that website up on the uConsole as well, because then you can just copy back and forth. But for this one, we're going to enable clock, so we need to go down to the clock area and then go to the DP param equals I2C, and then yada, yada, yada. So copy that guy and then go back to your terminal, and we're going to paste that guy in there. So if you're on a Pi 4, make sure that you're under the Pi 4 area. If you're on a Pi 3, and then Pi 5, Pi 5. So just remember to stay under your designated area for the actual Pi unit that you're using in your uConsole. And then you can see here that I already have that there. And it was that, let's see here. I have quite a few of them now. So if I go down to that Pi 4, there's my clock one. So I did just do shell and then the # clock to kind of separate all my current settings. So then you can see that I have the DT RM or DT param equals I2C. And so anyways, that's where that's at. And I just really have 12 2C. Is that right? Or did I type that right? Or maybe I'm wrong. Let's see here. Let's go back to, oh, it is I2C. So let me adjust that to that. Go back up. And now let's go delete that. I2C. There we go. Now that's right. Now to save, once you have all your stuff saved, or once you have all your stuff there to save, you're gonna hit Control X and then save modify buffer. You're gonna hit yes, and then hit Control X again, and then enter, and then that'll get you out of that kind of portion to save your config file. So that's how we do that. Now, once you're done, you do need to reboot, and this is gonna be kind of annoying and tedious that you're gonna have to reboot your uConsole a few times, and then we just rebooted that. Now to check to see if we did it right, we're gonna run this next command, which is going to be sudo hw clock-r, and then that should then read out a clock and date and time. So sudo, and that's going to be where are we at here? Sudo hw clock space -r, give it some time, and then there we can see that now we have a new time. So 2025 of May 13th. It is 9:58 my time, and yeah, and then we can have all your data. So the clock is not working. We got that done right. We can move on. We can move on to the next step. And like I said, we're not going to go we're not going to go over every single one of these because it is going to be kind of redundant. But just kind of stick to this guide, and you shouldn't have any issues. So now we're going to install the SDR++, and to do so, it's pretty simple. Just go sudo apt sdrpp, or if that doesn't work, sudo install or sudo get install apt sdrpp. So just try sudo apt sdrpp, and then that's going to download the actual SDR++ app on your device, and then you can see here that I already have it. So it's going to kind of be annoying a little bit. We're going to go here, and it'll be under accessories once it's installed, and then we're going to just click on that, and then that's going to open up SDR++, and then we can actually start seeing and make sure that our main FM radio is actually functioning and running. So for me, I'm going to just do the good old-fashioned NOAA, because it's always on. So you can use your kind of left right to tab over on the frequency space that you want to be on. So I know that NOAA is 146, so I want to just tab over and make sure that I'm on that 162. There's some dyslexia for you. 162.400. All right, my bad. So that's going to help out if we have. Yeah, you can see there that we have something coming in 162.400. I probably can't hear it because HDMI is probably taking over the audio of that, I believe. And I don't want to unplug this because then I'll lose my screen. But just know that we are obviously receiving, because we can see that here on the kind of spikes on the waterfall. So we do have a clean signal there. So SDR++ is working. And then obviously just follow the instructions of how to kind of go through that to get that going, because it's not difficult. But up here you have play. You can see right here on the upper screen. So that's gonna be play, is where I just clicked on over there. And then we have our source, and we are on the RTL-SDR is what my source is. So if we click on that guy, I'm probably gotta stop first, I bet. We go to stop first, and then I can change that source to whatever I want it to be. So I am on the RTL-SDR is what I want to be on. And then we are on the 00002 generic RTL. So make sure that you are on that guy as well. So let's just click on that. And then, yep, 002. And then we were on wide FM band. We could switch to narrow FM if you wanted to. I know it's working. Probably could grab some headphones and just pop them in, and then I would know for sure, but I'm going to trust that it is. So that is how to do the RTL or the SDR++. Now, on your GPS settings, this one's going to be the same thing. We're going to go to the boot. So under your firmware or your file there, you have to go to the /boot firmware config, and then you do need to copy in that one enable underscore UART equals 1 to get your GPS going. One thing I will say is that you will need to go and install Minicom. whenever I did mine, Minicom was not installed, so I had to go to my terminal here, and then I just had to go to sudo apt install Minicom, right? Yeah, so that's how you install Minicom. Sudo apt install Minicom, and then it'll work as it should. That was not mentioned. I don't think it was, at least in the GPS settings there. So um, you can go ahead and add that enable UART equals 1 to whatever you need to go to under that boot firmware config file, and then just drop it down anywhere in that appropriate area for your chip. So again, uh, just copy that enable UART equals 1, and I can show you mine right here as I went ahead and threw mine. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and let me go ahead and open up that file. Well, I can't. So if we go yes, get that going real quick, and then I can open that file once Minicom is done. So there it goes. So if I want to go to sudo nano, and then we /boot /firmware, can't type, firmware, and then that config.txt file. I don't know if this is possible or not, but maybe down the line, a lot of this stuff can be just implemented into the actual firmware and install. So it just kind of makes our job easier. But again, that's going to make somebody else's job harder. So there's my enabled UART equals 1, like I said earlier. So that's where that's at. And let's go ahead and go back now to the website here. And when you're done, remember I said you do need to install the Minicom, and then when you're done, you just need to kind of you're gonna run where's it at? Restart uConsole, use a command sudo minicom -dev yada yada to view the GPS output. I'm not gonna view my output because then it's gonna throw all my GPS location out, but just be guaranteed I tested it, it works. So just be aware of that, and then you'll once it's running, it's going to keep populating nonstop, so you'll just need to hit Control X to stop that terminal command and that kill switch, if you will, to stop that command from running. If it doesn't work, then just close your terminal and then open up a new one. For some reason, Control X would not work for me, or Control C, sorry, Control C would not stop the terminal from running, but I don't know if that's an issue on my end or that's just an actual bug in the current firmware. After that, that's it. Like, you're set up to use your new Hacker Gadgets RTL-SDR board, whatever the hell it's called. After you get these steps done, you're pretty much golden. You're good to go. Like I said, we'll figure out the mesh chassis stuff down the line, but the majority of the stuff is just getting into all the terminal stuff and all your little subfolders and files and getting all that set up properly. So once we're there, it's kind of the meat and potatoes of it all. The difficulty of it all is just getting all these little parameters done under your terminal, and then it's kind of going, like I said, going through it all step by step. And if you haven't gotten a uConsole RTL-SDR/LoRa/GPS/RTC/USB hub all-in-one extension board, go to hackergadgets.com and you can get them. They have 187 in stock as of 5/13/2025. So check it out. And yeah. And then, of course, you're going to want the one that has with antenna mounting kit. So that's $92 for USD right there, because they have the ones without. So get the ones with the antenna mounting kit. So just be aware of that. Mine was sent to me as a prototype from Valier with Hacker Gadgets. So thank you again for that. I greatly appreciate it. And I hope this video has helped somebody out, because I think here in the next few days, hopefully you guys will start receiving your new boards there. And then you can see we have Noah going. So that's pretty clear signal from this little guy. And obviously it's Noah, right? But I am in a garage, and so yeah. Little side note, this SMA port right here, I had some question on that one, so I reached out to Valier. This is another Wi-Fi board or Wi-Fi antenna to take away from the internal one. So you could just run this little SMA port to your actual Raspberry Pi CM4 or CM5, and then this is where you're going to be getting your Wi-Fi from. Mine is not hooked up yet, but maybe I plan to just throw another Wi-Fi antenna on there. And the cool thing about this that I didn't add in the last video is that you can kind of orient these three antennas for however you want them. The GPS is the main one that's probably going to stay on this side. So if the unit's facing you, it's going to stay on the far right side, because normally GPS antennas are a lot wider. This antenna is about 3/4 of an inch in diameter there at the bottom, and then of course we have our regular other antennas there next to it. My only complaint is that, and it's not a big one, but the SD card slot right here is kind of, this GPS antenna is in the way a little bit. Again, it's not like you're gonna be taking your SD card in and out continually, so not a big deal, but just something to be aware about there. So yeah, this one right here, that is for your Wi-Fi. So hopefully that helps. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it, and I hope this video can kind of help you guys kind of figure out how to get all this going once you get your boards in. And yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to me. I will do my best to answer these. If not, then I will probably shoot you over to the forum for the uConsole and the RTL-SDR yada 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 all-in-one extension board. So thank you. I appreciate it. Do not forget to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video.